please subscribe to the Berkshire Heroes channel. Have you clicked that button yet? Pressed it? Thank you so much. Now on with the show. I'm Laura Blumenthal on the Berkshire Heroes podcast, and joining me today is Jodie Edith, a psychotherapist and clinical lead who's got experience working in mental health and trauma services. Welcome, Jodie.
Oh, hello, Laura. It's so lovely to be here. Thank you for having me.
It's great for you to join us. Now, start by telling us a bit about your career. What's your personal journey been like? What attracted you to the role?
Okay, so for most of my working life, I worked in the spa industry. So I started off as a therapist. I worked my way up. So I was a spa manager. I worked in some of the most beautiful spas and hotels. I went on to design treatments and products for spas. It was incredible. And then for myself, I went through my own experience. So I lost my sister and my niece in 2018 to domestic abuse, coercive control. And for me, it really, it affected every area. And I was in a place that I wasn't coping that well. And I went to go and seek therapy myself. And this is when I thought I was going to be able to talk about my sister and niece, but I actually realised that there was a lot of things that I was carrying, things from my childhood, things throughout my life. And it gave me the opportunity to really understand how my mind, my body was affected. And I just wanted to be able to help other people. And so I went down the pathway myself. So I became a counsellor, so a psychotherapist, a hypnotherapist. And this is when I became obsessed with the brain. What is it that our thoughts, our feelings, what is it that we're carrying? And essentially, how can we live a better life? How can we understand ourselves more? So this is why I'm now on this pathway now.
And what does it mean being a clinical lead? Tell me about that.
Yeah, so I work for an organisation as well. So I have my own private practice, and then I also work for an organisation which is called RSAS, which stands for Rape and Sexual Abuse Support Service. So it's a domestic abuse support service. And this is where I am the clinical lead for a team of 8 therapists, so 8 counsellors. And I work with both men and women over the age of 16 that have been subjected to any form of rape, sexual abuse, either historically or recently. And my role is to be there for them when they first refer into the organisation. And then I support them then, and by finding the right counsellor, finding the right support for them. And they're on their journey then so that they can understand themselves and what they've gone through. And ultimately, how can they be in life without the triggers and be able to process and move forwards? So, yeah, it's an incredible job. I'm very proud of the work that everyone does there. It's a wonderful team.
And do you have any examples of people that you've helped where you think, I've really made a difference here?
The most wonderful thing about my job is that I have moments, not just myself, either helping or being there, but all the therapists and counsellors that I work with my own private clients. They come often when they are in a moment of despair. They feel like they've maybe given up. They are living with anxiety or triggers, stress. Sometimes they can't work. Sometimes they can't leave the house. And when they come, you see them and at a very first stage of their journey. And then what happens is over time, they start to build up their own strength. They know their own minds. They understand how their trauma affects their body. Maybe they're suffering with illnesses, chronic fatigue, tiredness, irritable bowel, because stress has such a deep impact on our bodies. And when you can see people and they say to you, I just feel different, I just feel like I can be in life, and you see them finding hope again, you feel them able to do things that they never thought they could do. And I have people coming to me for all sorts of different things, and especially like hypnotherapy, it's so powerful. People that couldn't leave the house that are then sending me photographs in Thailand, traveling. People that have been affected deeply by the trauma of childhood abuse, and they're able to have relationships where they have trust again, and people getting over all sorts of illnesses because they understand that their body has been affected by the stress and cortisol. And I believe that it's not me that does the work. I believe it's the clients. They're the ones that do the work. We're just there to guide them, and I'm just there to kind of show them the things that helped me.
And the conversations you have with your clients are very intense, very emotional. How do you look after yourself through that? Because some people would find it very easy to dwell on it and find it very difficult personally.
No, I'm a huge advocate for self-care. So especially for myself and for my team. So I'm always making sure that I look after myself and that I have daily hypnosis. So I think the power of hypnotherapy for the brain is just incredible. It resets the nervous system, very easy to do. And I will make sure that if I'm feeling that my balance is a bit off, okay, what do I need to do? Do I need to rest more? Do I need to eat healthier? Do I need to, I have regular counselling myself, so I have supervision, I have incredible therapists. Obviously being part of the Wellness Hub, we're surrounded by lots of people within the profession, so, but just little moments. So I do look after myself, you have to. But I think that's the thing that often people will say, like, oh goodness, that's quite heavy work, or oh goodness, and it's like, actually you find it really empowering, really enlightening, because I think that human connection, and when you see someone on their pathway, it's actually very uplifting as well. So yeah, but self-care is so important. We have to look after ourselves.
Let's talk about the Wellness Hub, because I know that you've mentioned it. I always describe the Wellness Hub as essentially a group of Power Rangers, and you all have your expertise in health and wellness, and you go out to support people if it's a workplace or other area. What attracted you to getting involved in the Wellness Hub, and what do you enjoy about it most?
I just think it's an incredible concept. I think Zoe, who sets it up, it has just got a wonderful mission. I think having a group of professionals that all specialise in what they're doing is quite powerful. And when you go into a workplace, people just don't have the time. That's the one thing with life now. Everyone's busy. Everyone finds it really difficult when you say, have you got time to look after yourselves? So to know that you could go into the workplace and offer people just a moment in their time to come out, to have that time on them, I just think it just makes sense. And for myself, because I deliver trauma-informed workshops as well within the workplaces, so it's just an ideal time to go in, and it just allows people to come away from their busy day, take a moment just to look after themselves, take care of themselves, and then it just means they're more calm, focused, their stress levels reduce, and yeah, so it's a wonderful concept.
I know I've spoken to Zoe about how I just feel like it's such a great idea, because I work for a bank in London, and I know what you mean. It's all very busy. Your health is probably not your top priority, unfortunately, but it does seem as if the corporate world is more interested in really trying to help their employees stay healthy and happy. And by having wellness professionals such as yourself, the Wellness Hub, just be on site, the managers encourage you to just go along to talk to you or Juliet about nutrition or whatever issue you might be interested in or concerned about. It's just a real sort of easy spoon feeding way to get that sort of boost of health and enlightenment as well. So when you're going to various workplaces, engaging with people through the hub, do you have people just come along to you or just interested in what you're doing? Because of course what you're focused on is very emotionally intense. You need them to be sort of vulnerable to talk to you about all these really quite sensitive topics.
You'll be surprised, because I actually deal with, yes, I've got the side of that with the trauma, but actually it's anxiety, it can be sleep issues, it can be general phobias. And I think that's the thing, when people realise I'm a hypnotherapist and a counsellor and they see it, they're curious, and it's like, oh, actually I've got this, or I'm going through this, and people will just come up, and you get into these conversations and you'll find that everyone's got a story. Everyone's either saying, oh gosh, I'm getting headaches, or oh my goodness, like I'm feeling that I can't sleep, or actually I've been through this and I'm overthinking. And especially in the workplace, so I do a lot of work with people within the workplace that might want to go for promotions. They might want to do more public speaking. They might want to feel calmer when they're presenting. And that's where hypnotherapy is really grinding. So they could just have even 20 minutes of hypnotherapy, or just a moment of mindfulness to be able to understand that when they can calm the nervous system, when they take their limiting beliefs of that little voice that goes, oh, I can't talk in front of everyone, or actually, oh, I don't know if I want to go for that job, maybe I'm not good enough. Actually, it's about taking that, working with the subconscious mind, and actually creating those new neuro pathways. And that's where you create that incredible change. And it's powerful. And you see people being able to step into different roles. They feel calmer in the workplace, more confident. So yeah, people come, I get into all sorts of conversations, and I like to think that I'm very welcoming. People are often quite intrigued. So yeah, some people share quite deeply about things. Others just want to learn a little bit more.
And what trends are you seeing from people that you help? Because we're always hearing more about people are having more mental health problems, they need more support, but what are you seeing on the ground?
People are becoming more aware of it. I think people are understanding that they need it. Life is busy. People recognize the fatigue, they recognize the chronic stress, and depression is a high. And I think that's the thing. It's about being, people are now starting, I think, to open up their eyes a little bit to understand. And actually, if I can go and just talk about my problems, if I can go and do something that makes me feel better, this is now seen as something to be encouraged. And I think that's what I'm finding more people that are coming through to me. Generally, it's because of their limiting beliefs, their anxiety, something that's holding them back.
And what do you think are the main misconceptions when it comes to mental health and people getting support from professionals like yourself?
It depends on where you go. I mean, you can go to some areas and people are very open to it. There still can be a little bit, especially with men, about not wanting to talk about their mental health concerns. With hypnotherapy, people can give it, people don't understand it. It's the unknown. So I think that often people can just push it aside, and if they don't understand it, if it wasn't something that was very open in their household, they're almost a little bit kind of, they see it as a weakness at times. Whereas I think that shift is starting to change that, and people are seeing it as it needs to be a strength. It needs to be something that is at the forefront of self-care for themselves so that they can live a life healthier and happier.
When you think about the future of your profession and the trends that you're seeing of people more aware of mental health issues and are more open to it, do you think that there could be opportunities for, say, the Wellness Hub or other groups to, say, go into universities, into schools? Is it doing more things online? Is it doing more books? I'm just really curious to know how you can share your insights to as many people as possible, and what's the right channel to really get through to people?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's having conversations everywhere. So I already go into schools, universities, workplaces. So I deliver training as well. So I developed my own workshop as well, coercive control, dedicated to my sister and my niece. I work as well doing healthy relationships and red flags and spotting those early signs. So I work with young teenagers, teaching them about those red flags and how to spot them, about self-esteem, their mental health. And I believe that when you can educate younger, going into the younger generation, that's where we can really get in. Their minds are open, they're receptive. And I think with boys as well, I mean, we hear about everything that they're being fed, and this is where we really need to start going into schools. And I think the more people that can do that, the more opportunities that we can have. So going back to your question, I think actually going in physically to the schools, I think definitely online, because if you think about schools, teenagers, everything's done online, isn't it? That's the way that they all communicate. So anywhere that you can get that opportunity to help younger people as well, I think is, yeah, it's just beneficial.
And do you have a top tip that you would advise people to keeping their own mental health well? I know you say you do hypnotherapy daily. Is there anything quite easy and simple and accessible to share that other people can pick up?
I always say the most truest form, I think, of a healing self-care is the art of human connection. And I think that moment where you reach out to someone else, or you might smile at somebody else, or you might get in touch with a friend that you haven't spoken to for a while, and it costs nothing. And when you look at human connection, the studies of actually when someone is just nice to somebody else, or someone asks about someone else, or you have a nice moment, it literally fires up the brain, and you see those cylinders, you see the receptors, and that is just a wonderful moment of self-care that you can either give someone else. If we're talking about just yourself, and just stopping for 5 minutes, just stopping, taking that moment, recognizing, how am I feeling? Am I feeling overwhelmed? Am I feeling tired? And just take a moment just to stop and pause. And when you slow down your nervous system and just take that moment of calm, it can allow you then to get back into your busy day and have that little bit more of calm and steadiness.
I know what you mean. Yesterday at work, it was a full-on day, and I just got to a point where I just thought, I need some fresh air. I need to go for a walk. And just giving myself the time to do that, because I could have just worked through it and been like, no, I don't need it. I've got other things to do. But I just took that time out, and it just made such a difference for the rest of the afternoon and the evening when I had to go out for things too. So it sounds so simple and obvious.
Yep.
But so few of us actually do it.
I know. And that's the thing though. And that's the thing, because the mind naturally goes to the things that we think that we have to do. So it's like that pressure to, I've got to get back to my list. I've got to get back to do this. And if you think about that, every single time that we are rushing or trying to get on with the next thing, our cortisol is spiking all of the time. And when you think about that, and you think about it almost like a traffic light system. So we've got green, which is nice and grounded, and just even a moment of being in the ground at green and grounded. That's when our vagus nerve is like really connected and calm. Then when we think about our triggers, so that's where we go into the yellow. That's when we can start to feel, oh, I feel a bit anxious. I feel a little bit, just a bit funny, a bit off. If we don't start to pause and break that, that can go up. And then that goes up over the day. So there we find we might get irritable, might get a bit snappy. We might get overwhelmed. I just need to get out of here. We want to flee. And then if we go into the red, that's where we're like, got nothing. I'm so tired. I'm exhausted. It's like I go home, okay, the house needs tidying, but I've got nothing to give. My children might want to talk to me, but I'm just done. Like that's when we start to notice that we're going into that part of our nervous system. It's exhausting. And people can start, you might start scrolling. You might start getting into those habits. I might just have a glass of wine. And actually when you start to notice that if we take that moment just for 5 minutes and notice those cortisol spikes when they're going into the yellow, like, oh, actually, I'm going into my yellow. Actually, if I carry on doing that, I'm going to end up exhausted. I'm going to be overwhelmed. I'm going to get anxious. And if we can break and go, oh, actually, how can I come back in so that I can feel a bit more green? I could go outside for 5 minutes. I could just put my phone on the side. I could step away from my computer. And that then lowers your cortisol. It makes you feel calmer. It makes you feel then, okay, actually, am I feeling, yeah, do you know what? I feel a little bit better. So it's like, okay, off we go. And then you can get back into your day. And the more that you do that, the more then that you're encouraging yourself to come out of the cortisol into the green. And then this helps. It stops people from being off work with sick, depression, anxiety, teaching yourself how to understand your brain and then how to come back so that you're feeling more grounded will just mean that you've got a longer life, better health opportunities. Everything is just so much more positive for your mind and body.
It's just that self-awareness, isn't it, really? Which is
Yeah.
so important. Jodie, tell me, what is it that you're focusing on right now, and how can people find you online?
Okay, so I mean, at the moment, what I am doing, I'm doing all my client work, of course. So I'm doing some big campaigns at the moment. So I am working on raising more awareness to coercive control, the effects, recognizing the patterns of perpetrators, so that we can stop the abuse when it gets to the stage of, like, my sister and my niece that were murdered. When we can stop and recognize that coercive control and the dangers of this, and actually recognizing the patterns of these abusers, and I believe that this is something that we really need to understand so that we can stop this. So yeah, you'll see me. I'm doing lots more campaigns and talks and delivering my sister's story in the hope that we can just have a safer life for our generations to come, and to end violence towards women and girls.
And how can people find out more about your work? Where can they find you online? Where can they sign up to support your campaigns?
Yeah, so they can find me online, and my website will be on there as well, so they can get in touch with me on there. My website, there's different links. I do like different opportunities where I will do sessions just so that people can ask questions. So yeah, just you can get in touch
So
with
if
me
they
through there.
search Jodie Edith, psychotherapist,
Oh,
it will pop up.
yeah, sorry. So my company is Nurture From Within, but it's Jodie Edith. So Jodie Edith, Nurture From Within.
Fantastic. They will find you there. So my last question to you, Jodie, is if you're Prime Minister, what would you change about the country and why?
So for me, obviously, with the work that I'm doing, I think that there needs to be a huge amount of funding put in to ending violence towards women and girls. I believe that it should be mandatory that children need to have healthy relationships, coercive control in schools. And I think that the way that the children now are communicating, like with social media, the way that their self-esteem is, I think that this needs to be addressed. And I think the more that we can put that money, that time into our younger generation, it will allow us to have a much healthier future for them as well.
And is it more about teaching children to spot the signs of coercive control and what to do, where to get help? Is it about teaching people to spot it within themselves if they're exhibiting signs of coercive control and to be aware and not to do that? Where do you think the focus should really be?
No, absolutely. So my workshop covers both. So it's about one, what is coercive control? What is an abusive relationship? When you look now at the way that the relationships are, it's very much online as well. So people are getting into these relationships very quickly. And it's about that education, understanding that from a young age, why are we getting into relationships? Are there things happening that make me feel uncomfortable? Am I feeling that I'm doing something that I don't want to be doing? Is it getting very intense? All of these signs are those red flags. And actually understanding them from a younger age means that, and empowering them. And the incredible thing is, when I look at the workshops that I do, I had a session with one of my clients, and she was in a relationship that wasn't particularly it wasn't nice, and she didn't talk about it too much, and I just noticed that there was something. So I said, oh, this is the workshop that I do in school. So I started going through it, and you could see her eyes, and that's what happens. The kids will go, oh, well, actually, yeah, my sister's in a relationship like that. How can I help her? My mum's actually like that. Okay. And it opens up these conversations. So I showed her what I was doing, and the next time she came to me, she was like, oh, actually, Jodie, I ended it. And I said, okay. And we spoke about it and obviously went through it all. And she said, yeah, actually, I thought that it was something that I was doing. But actually, all the things that you were telling me about was actually, I could see that that wasn't okay. And actually, I don't want to be treated like that. So she was able to end it safely. And I just thought, how incredible is that, that she's able to recognize that she deserves more. And so, yeah, it's about it's education. It's just understanding, because for a lot of, especially young girls that are quite vulnerable, they get into these relationships and they find themselves just doing things or staying in it when actually it's not safe and it's not good for them.
And I suppose one of the main problems is that person she broke up with probably go on to have a relationship with someone else, and the cycle continues.
Well, this is where, so with the role that I do with the reporting, this is where we can look at, well, what we're going to do with him. How can we have that conversation? So I don't like to just leave it there. If I know that there's a situation, because that's the thing about when you go into schools as well, it's about often again, when we look at boys and when they're behaving like that, where does it come from? What have they seen? What are their patterns? And it's about letting them know that just because you might see something going on at home doesn't mean that you have to repeat it. Helping them to understand This is healthy. This is how we should be treating women and girls. Because when you look back, and if all they've ever seen is their dad, either cheating, disrespecting their mum, abusing their mum, then they just normalise it. It's just normal. And especially when you see with social media what the boys are actually, there's a lot that's going out there at the moment, and there's a lot of work that's being done behind it, is that it's almost encouraged to disrespect women. And that's where the government needs to come in and change and really start to tackle this behaviour, because it's not okay.
And just in a few sentences, how would you describe what coercive control is to someone who they've heard of the term, but they don't really know what it is?
So coercive control is actually a law. So it's actually when, if I could describe it, it's when one person holds all that power and the other person feels that they've got to change their behaviours to make sure that the other person feels happy. So it's when you go from, a typical example is when you first have that stage, it might be that love bombing, that initial attraction, everything's very intense, very, very quickly, and you go straight into it and it feels very exciting. But what happens when something is very, very exciting is actually that initial stage, it's all just your nervous system. Everything is kind of, it's been those first endorphins, everything is much more heightened. But then what happens is that things slowly start changing. You might find that there's a few comments like, oh, do you really have to wear that? Oh, no, you don't go out with them this weekend because actually I just want to be together. You might find that you're out and then you get message after message after, where are you? Why aren't you answering your phone? And then this escalation just leads on, isolation. Things then being taken away. So you might find that money, you're not able to access the money as the way that you would have done beforehand. So things just start changing, and then it gets to that point that you're questioning and that gaslighting. And coercive control literally affects your brain. So it makes you feel that you're going crazy and you're questioning. And then the next minute they could be really nice to you. So it's this back and forth, this flip-flopping of trying to work out what's happening within that relationship. And that's why it's very difficult to understand what's going on when you're in it. And I think that the sooner that you have education and start understanding it, a bit like that girl that I spoke about, you're able to stop it at those earlier stages rather than waiting right until the end, because the longer that it goes on, the harder it is to be able to get out. And that's why I always talk about signposting to the incredible organisations that we have out there. So RSAS, which I spoke about, Women's Aid, Your Sanctuary is a local organisation. Because if you start thinking, and a lot of people will listen to me talking and they're like, actually, that might be something I'm going through. Or actually, yeah, I'm not allowed to go out. Yeah, actually, I'm not allowed to spend my own money. And oh, actually, yeah, I didn't want to do that, but I'm feeling like and then it starts their minds thinking, and that's when I say I always signpost to the organisations to help you leave safely. The one thing we always need to remember is that if you are in a relationship with someone who is subjecting you to coercive control, leaving the relationship is the most dangerous time to leave. And this is why you need the support of agencies if it's got to that stage. And because that when you leave that relationship is when the control changes. And when they feel that they are losing control, that's when things can escalate as well. So the more that we understand about it, the more opportunity we have to have those healthy relationships.
Thank you so much, Jodie Edith, for joining me on the Berkshire Heroes podcast. It's been brilliant to talk to you, and best of luck with all your campaigns.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
And please remember to subscribe to the Berkshire Heroes channel.